I want today's video to be a simple reminder to all of you that even the most secure people on this planet were once insecure about something. Trust me, that goes for everyone and I'm no exception to this rule. Now, on the topic of hair loss, I began to lose my hair in my late teens, around 17, 18 years old. I began to thin at the front. I guess this was down to using a lot of cheap hair products, especially hair gel. I used to really like the spiky haired look. I wanted to look like Goku from Dragon Ball Z, and I think that definitely had something to do with me thinning very early. And it wasn't music to my ears because by the time I was 22, 23, it had considerably worsened. Now, don't get me wrong, I could still get away with having hair, but the hair loss that I was beginning to experience was visible enough to bother me. So naturally, my first line of defense was to hold on to it. And what I'm going to be doing today is discussing the ways in which I chose to do so. Now, this one is embarrassing, but believe it or not, I chose to use a black crayon. That's right, a black crayon to colour in the parts of my scalp where I was beginning to lose hair. It's crazy. Since I was very thin at the front of my hairline, I had to shuffle my hair around quite a lot in different directions in order to hide it. But due to the fact that I had actually begun losing my hair, you could still see my scalp in no matter what direction I put the hair in. Especially if it rained or if I used any sort of hair gel. I would never use any hair gel products in my early 20s because I knew the second any kind of wetness gets onto my hair, that's it. My scalp is going to show and it's going to look like I'm completely bald at the front. So rainy days didn't work with me. But getting back to the crayon, I used to literally colour in my scalp with a flipping crayon in order to hide the fact that I didn't have hair and to give the illusion that I had a perfectly aligned hairline. And oh man, I'm embarrassed to say it, but when that stopped working, shit really hit the fan. I began to go into my mother's room in order to find dark shades of makeup in order to powder up the front of my scalp where the hair was no longer there. That's how crazy this obsession of my hair and keeping my hair had become. Now after this, I moved on to something a little bit more practical, but still very crazy to myself. I started using a product known as keratin, which is a hair building fiber. Now with this, what you have to do is, you literally sprinkle the bottle over your head and a powder will start to come out, as you can see right here. And what this does is, it clings to the parts of your hair where you're thinning. So you spray it over the part where maybe you're thinning a little bit more than other places, and these hair fibers will cling to that thinned hair and make it give the illusion that your hair isn't so thin. In other words, this powdery substance will give the illusion that your hairline is a little bit more darker. Now, me being an idiot, of course I took it one step further. Now again, to emphasize, the way this product works, you have to actually have some form of hair for the hair fibers to cling onto, otherwise the illusion isn't going to work. So for example, if I was to actually spray this on my head now, it wouldn't have anything to stick to because there are no hair follicles for the hair fibers to cling to. But what did I do? Exactly that. I started sprinkling this powder on the parts of my head where I was completely bald. And to make matters worse, I started using a cheap supermarket brand hairspray to spray the hair fibers into the bald patches of my head. So imagine this, I'm taking this, I'm putting it on my head right now, I'm taking a hairspray, spraying the hell out of my head, and then I would go about my day. It became that dramatic. Now let me tell you, if I was out in the rain or if I happened to touch my head accidentally during the daytime, as you do, you scratch your head, that's it. That shit was gonna smudge all over the place. And embarrassingly, it happened a few times in public. So imagine, I had given myself a new insecurity by always being paranoid whether or not my hairline was in place because of this stupid product. I was always looking for a bathroom when I'm out in public, out with family and friends, out on a date. I was always looking to make sure, oh shit, is it in place? Have they noticed? It's crazy. And it's actually methods such as this one that made me realize how bad of an obsession, how big of an obsession my hair had become. Which is natural. When you lose a trait or a characteristic that you've had for your entire life, it's going to be natural for you to want to cling to it because it's part of your identity. It's part of your visual identity. But you see, the question that changed everything for me was when I sat down with myself and I looked in the mirror and I asked myself, am I ready to feed this obsession for the rest of my life? And as soon as I realized that the answer is no, it hit me. I began to realize that maybe the better option is to just embrace my hair loss, to accept it for what it is. People, we all have things in life that we're insecure about, issues that we like to pretend aren't there, and flaws that we like to mask. But truly, the realization of knowing that you don't need that mask to live is truly liberating. You don't need a mask. And looking back, I'm glad that I realized quicker than others did. I know there's many people watching this right now with insecurities that they just can't let go of. And it's sad because it makes them feel the need to dedicate their lives to masking their flaws, to masking what makes them human. And let me ask you, what good is a life without self-acceptance? What good is a life without being willing to accept the fact that we are imperfect as human beings? It takes away all the potential happiness that we have out there for us. You know, these insecurities come when people lose hair. It comes when people age. It comes when people aren't as physically fit as they used to be. It's hard to let go of. But look, in the end, we are all human. And just because some of our traits and some of our assets might leave us through our journey of life, it doesn't make us any less of an important human being. It doesn't mean we are worthy any less than the next person. It doesn't take away from our self-worth. And that is one thing to remember for today. Even when you are in a situation when you feel like you have to mask something, dig deep within and realize, why am I wearing this mask? I'm human and I'm meant to be imperfect. I'm okay to embrace it. So take a moment to look at yourself in the mirror today and embrace yourself for what you are. Take off that mask and be thankful for who you are. Thank you so much.